NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3080 GPU, check. HDMI 2.1 cable, check. Badass gaming PC, check. Game settings maxed out, check. Now, let's find out if this is the best gaming display you can buy right now. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Caleb Dennison, and today we're checking out the LG 48-inch CX or C10 OLED TV. 48 inches. Looks a little bit small here, doesn't it? Well, we've been reviewing 65-inch TVs forever, so of course it's going to look small, but the size was part of the appeal. More on that in a second. But it's really this TV's gaming capabilities that I want to focus on. LG made some big promises with its HDMI 2.1 ports, both last year and this year. And right out of the gate, there have been problems. 4K at 120 FPS was not happening. And if the frame rate dropped below 60 FPS, you got this blinking issue. That was a big problem with the 2019 C9 TVs. So the good news is that LG has issued a firmware update. We got our hands on it. It's installed on this TV. Let's take a look at what this TV can do for gaming. So first off, I want to point out that we are using an HDMI 2.1 cable. And if you don't have one, you're going to need to get one because this takes a lot of bandwidth. It almost maxes out the 40 gigabits per second that you get in the C10 OLED and is going to, get right up there to the 48 gigabits per second that you get with the C9 OLED from last year. But again, HDMI 2.1, super important. You're getting none of this without that. Now, with that update installed, we went into Fortnite and maxed out the settings. Everything is set to epic. Do not turn VRR on because G-Sync is going to handle it for you. We're not enabling ray tracing here because that really does tax the card. But once we've got this all set up, we get into Fortnite and look at that. We're looking at FPSs around 150, 160, according to the meter there. Definitely not having any trouble doing 4K, HDR, 120 FPS. It looks absolutely fantastic. It's smooth as butter. There is no screen tearing. Now, if we challenge the card, we will see that. So all that noise that you may have been hearing about how these TVs really aren't next-gen capable, no 4K at 120 with HDR and 444 chroma, not true. They can absolutely do it. And I'm glad to see that LG was quick about getting that firmware update. I mean, they have been partnered with NVIDIA for over a year getting this ready. I was a little disappointed that they didn't get it right out of the gate. I think that it's fair for us to expect that, but it's also reasonable to understand that there would be hiccups. Anyway, Fortnite looking awesome, running very well, very smooth. Now, it's not the most difficult game in the world to run, so let's switch to something a little bit harder. So now we switch to Assassin's Creed Odyssey, mostly because it's a more difficult game to run, but also because it has this cool benchmark tool that allows us to adjust the quality and see how the frames per second change from there. And what we found was that at medium image quality settings, we got anywhere from 75 to 115 FPS without any screen tearing or major judder. As we stepped up to high, very high, and then ultimate, basically, what we saw was the FPS drop. But it managed to keep things fairly smooth. A little bit more challenging as things got up into the upper settings, and that's partially because the graphics card was getting a serious workout. But anytime the card was able to send the frame to the TV produced it. So the G-Sync is working, the V-Sync also works, and what you get is a much, much better gaming experience. I should also point out that the HDR experience is excellent, especially with this particular card. It adds a lot to the game, a lot of sparkle. Although I do want to point out that if you're a competitive gamer playing a first-person shooter in dark areas, you may have trouble seeing detail. And that's something that we mentioned in our LG C10 review already. One question that I wanted to address in this video was this notion of which is more important, frame rate or resolution. Let's say that your rig can't do 4K 120, but it can do 1080p or maybe 1440p at 120 Hertz. Would you rather have that, or would you be willing to put up with 60 FPS just because you got the 4K resolution? Now, I know there are going to be opinions on all sides of this, but for me, I think that the higher frame rate trumps resolution in importance. So if you have to make that decision, I'd rather have the high FPS than the super high resolution, especially on a TV that's 48 inches where the value of 4K is questionable already. Now let's talk about the size of this TV. I had this sort of romanticized idea that a 48-inch TV could maybe go on your desktop and be a new desktop monitor, whether you want that for productivity or just for gaming. For gaming, I think you could probably pull it off. I think you're going to be sitting a little bit close and it's going to exceed your field of vision. Is it really a gaming monitor replacement? Probably not at the desktop. But I will say that you could get away with it for gaming. I just wouldn't want to use it for, well, Word documents and things like that. Honestly, that would be a waste of this TV's capabilities, right? In the TV sense, it's definitely better for a smaller room, this 48-inch size. I don't, however, think that this TV really makes a strong case with its current price. Like, you can get a 55-inch C10 OLED for around $1,700, and that's gonna change over time. This TV at 48 inches is only around $150 less expensive right now, which means you're losing a lot of screen real estate, but not really shelling out significantly less money. I think if you're gonna be up in that price tier anyway, $150 is not a lot to ask for a bigger screen size. So maybe the 55-inch is a better choice for most people who want to get a super advanced TV with amazing gaming capabilities. And of course, if you want to go up to the 65, you're not going to hear any arguments from me. Although I have heard some gamers say they don't really prefer that larger screen size for competitive gaming. Maybe that's just because they're used to using something smaller, but I got to tell you, this looks amazing. So is the LG C10 the ultimate gaming monitor? Well, for now, I'll say it's an excellent one. We have to keep in mind that Vizio has a competing OLED that also has two HDMI 2.1 ports, so it's going to be quite capable itself. Also, I want to see how this TV behaves with the next-gen consoles. I do think that its capabilities are going to exceed that of the Xbox Series X and also the PlayStation 5. I don't think that the hardware in those machines are going to actually max out this television the way that this NVIDIA graphics card can. But in the end, it's an outstanding TV, a fantastic display, and its gaming features right now are unrivaled. Thanks as always for watching, everyone. What do you think of the LG C10 OLEDs for gaming, and specifically this 48-inch size? Is that appealing to you? Drop me a comment down below, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and as always, visit digitaltrends.com for the latest tech news and reviews.